The RPG hit 10 feet from my position. The blast lifted me off the ground. I was airborne for what felt like forever, watching pieces of the world spin around me: dirt, metal, blood, fire. When I hit the ground, I couldn't hear anything. Just a high-pitched ringing that filled my entire skull. I tried to move. Nothing. My legs wouldn't respond. I looked down and saw blood pooling beneath me, dark and spreading fast across the sand. 12 enemy fighters were advancing on our position. I could see their mouths moving, shouting. Martinez was face down in the dirt 15 feet away. Not moving. Johnson's body was slumped against the wall. Half his head was gone. I was the only one left. The only one still breathing. 4:17 p.m. June 8, 2019. Helmand Province, Afghanistan. I watched one of the fighters raise his AK-47, pointing it directly at my chest. This is it. This is how I die. Then everything went black. What happened in the next 20 minutes shouldn't have been possible. I was hit by shrapnel in 3 places. Bleeding out. Surrounded by enemy combatants. No backup. No air support. Completely alone. But I did something I'd never done before. Something I'd mocked other soldiers for doing. I prayed. And what happened next, what I saw, what I heard, what came out of nowhere, the military still can't explain it. Hit subscribe because this story is going to challenge everything you think you know about war, death, and what's really out there protecting us. The chaplain who debriefed me said it was divine intervention. The commander said it was impossible. I just know that I shouldn't be here talking to you right now. But I am. And you need to hear why. My name is David Robert Sullivan. I'm 29 years old. Former Army Sergeant, 2nd Battalion, 3rd Marines. I grew up in Tucson, Arizona, raised by my grandmother after my parents died in a car crash when I was 7. She was religious. Church every Sunday. Prayer before every meal. I stopped believing when I was 13. If God was real, why'd he take my parents? That's what I thought. I enlisted at 18. Served 3 tours in Afghanistan. This happened on my final deployment, June 8, 2019, in a compound outside Lashkar Gah. Our mission was simple: clear the compound, secure the area, extract intel. By 4:15 that afternoon, my entire squad was dead. And I was about to join them. I remember the morning briefing like it was yesterday. We were sitting in the Tactical Operations Center at Camp Leatherneck. The AC was broken. It was 106 degrees outside, probably 95 inside. Sweat was dripping down my back, soaking through my uniform. Captain Reynolds was standing at the front, pointing at a map on the screen. Intelligence indicates a high-value target using this compound as a staging area, he said. 8 to 12 enemy combatants expected. Light arms. Maybe 1 or 2 RPGs. I was sitting next to my best friend, Corporal James Martinez. We'd served together for 4 years. Saved each other's lives more times than I could count. Sounds like a cakewalk, Martinez whispered. I nodded. In and out. 2 hours max. Staff Sergeant Johnson was leading our squad. 15-year veteran. Tough as nails. He'd seen everything. Stay sharp, Johnson said. Intel's been wrong before. He looked at each of us. Watch each other's backs. We all come home. Every single one of us. Those were the last words he ever spoke to us as a complete squad. We loaded into the Humvees at 14:30 hours. 6 of us total. Johnson. Martinez. Corporal Davis. Private Williams. Private Chen. And mate. The drive took 40 minutes. The desert landscape was barren. Nothing but sand and rocks and dying vegetation. The sun was brutal. Even with the windows down, the heat was suffocating. Martinez was checking his weapon. You ever pray, Sully? He asked. I looked at him. What? Pray? You know, like ask God to keep you safe. I shook my head. Nah, man. Don't believe in that stuff. Why not? Because if God was real, he wouldn't let half the shit we've seen happen. Martinez was quiet for a moment. I pray before every mission, he said finally. Just in case. I laughed. Just in case of what? just in case he's listening. I should have paid more attention to that conversation. I should have asked him why it mattered so much to him. But I didn't. I just stared out the window and watched the desert roll by. We arrived at the compound at 15:12 hours. It was a typical Afghan structure. Mud walls, flat roof, small windows, one main entrance. Davis Chen, take the west side, Johnson ordered. Williams, watch our 6. Martinez, Sully, you're with me. We breach on my mark. We stacked up at the door. My heart was pounding. Not from fear. From adrenaline. This was what we trained for. What we lived for. The rush. Johnson counted down. 3, 2, 1. He kicked the door open. We flooded inside. Phase 2, the slow burn. The first room was empty. Dirt floor. Debris in the corners. A single window letting in dusty sunlight. Clear, Johnson called. We moved to the second room. Also empty. Where the hell is everyone? Martinez whispered. That's when I heard it. A sound above us. Footsteps on the roof. Multiple footsteps. Contact, Johnson shouted. The ceiling exploded. Gunfire ripped through the mud and wood, sending chunks of debris raining down on us. We dove for cover. I landed behind a low wall, pressed my back against it, raised my rifle. Return fire, Johnson screamed. We opened up. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space. Brass casings hitting the floor. The smell of gunpowder thick in my nose. Through the holes in the ceiling, I could see movement. I aimed. Fired. A body fell through, hitting the ground with a wet thud. They're everywhere, Davis shouted from outside. Gunfire erupted from multiple directions. We were surrounded. This wasn't 8 to 12 fighters. This was an ambush. Fall back to the Humvees, Johnson ordered. We moved. Fast. Martinez was beside me, firing as we ran. We made it to the doorway. That's when the first RPG hit. The explosion took out the front wall of the compound. Williams was standing right there. He didn't even have time to scream. 1 second he was there. The next he was gone. Just gone. Williams, Chen screamed. He's gone. Keep moving, Johnson grabbed Chen by the vest and pulled him forward. We ran for the Humvees. Davis was already there, using the vehicle for cover, laying down, suppressing fire. Bullets pinged off the metal around him. We were maybe 20 feet away when Davis jerked backward. Blood sprayed from his neck. He dropped. No, I started toward him. Johnson grabbed me. He's dead, Sulivian. Stay focused. We dove behind the Humvee. 4 of us left. Johnson. Martinez. Jen. May. We need air support now, Johnson was screaming into his radio. Negative Bravo 6, the voice crackled back. All birds are engaged. ETA 45 minutes. We don't have 45 minutes. Another RPG streaked past us, missing by inches. We need to find better cover, I said. Johnson looked around. His eyes locked on a small structure 50 meters east. Looked like an old storage shed. Stone walls. Better than nothing. There. On MY marks. But I didn't know what was coming next. We didn't know we were running straight into a kill zone. Jen went first. He made it maybe 10 meters before the machine gun opened up. I watched the rounds tear through him. Watched him dance like a puppet on strings. Watched him fall. Zietian, Martinez screamed. Run, Johnson pushed us forward. Martinez and I sprinted. My lungs were burning. My legs pumping. Bullets kicking up sand all around us. We made it to the structure. Slammed our backs against the wall. Johnson was right behind us. He was 5 feet away when I saw his eyes go wide. He looked down. There was a red stain spreading across his chest. He'd been hit. He stumbled. Fell to his knees. Johnson, I started toward him. Stay there, he shouted. Blood was pouring from his mouth. He tried to stand. Couldn't. He looked at me. At Martinez. You boys get home. Then he fell face first into the sand. Martinez and I pulled him behind the wall. But I could already see it in his eyes. That empty look. Staff Sergeant Andrew Johnson was dead. Just like that. 3 minutes ago, we were a squad of 6. Now it was just me and Martinez. Alone. Surrounded. No support. No way out. What do we do? Martinez's voice was shaking. I looked at our position. The structure was small. 3 stone walls. No roof. 1 opening facing the compound. We had maybe 3 magazines of ammo left between us. Against at least 15 enemy fighters. The math didn't work. We hold, I said. We hold until support arrives. That's 45 minutes, Sully. Then we hold for 45 minutes. Martinez nodded. We took up positions on either side of the opening. I could see fighters moving in the distance. Advancing slowly. Taking their time. They knew we were trapped. They knew we were dead. They were just deciding when to finish us. You remember what you said? Martinez asked. About what? About not believing in God. Now's not the time, man. I think it's exactly the time. He pulled something from his pocket. A small silver cross on a chain. My mom gave me this before my first deployment, he said. Told me it would keep me safe. He looked at it. Then at me. I want you to have it. Martinez. Take it, Sully. Please. I took the cross. It was warm from being against his body. Why are you giving me this? He looked out at the advancing fighters. Because I don't think I'm making it out of here, he said quietly. But you might. Don't talk like that. I'm serious. You're the better shot. You're faster. If one of us survives this, it should be you. We're both surviving. He smiled. A sad, knowing smile. Sure, Sully. Sure we are. That was before I found out the truth. The first fighter appeared at the opening. I shot him. He dropped. 2 more appeared. Martinez got 1. I got the other. 3 DOWN, I shouted. But for everyone we dropped, 2 more appeared. They were testing our position. Probing for weaknesses. We held for 10 minutes. 15. 20. My last magazine. I'm out, Martinez called. I had maybe 10 rounds left. Take him, my sidearm. I tossed him my Beretta. He caught it. Check the chamber. 15 rounds. 25 bullets between us and death. That's when I heard the whistle. High-pitched. Getting louder. Incoming. The RPG hit the wall to our left. The explosion was massive. The wall collapsed. I was thrown backward, slammed into the opposite wall. My head cracked against stone. Everything went white. When my vision cleared, my ears were ringing again. I couldn't hear anything. I looked for Martinez. He was on the ground. Not moving. I crawled to him. Shook him. Martinez. He didn't respond. I rolled him over. His eyes were open. Blood was running from his nose, his ears. I checked for a pulse. Nothing. No. No. Martinez. Wake you pay. I shook him harder. Started chest compressions. Come on, brother. Don't you leave me. But he was gone. Traumatic brain injury from the blast. Instant. Painless. He never felt a thing. But I felt everything. I felt my last friend die in my arms. I felt the weight of being the only one left. I felt the absolute certainty that I was next. Then came the night that changed everything. I was alone. Completely alone. I laid Martinez down gently, closed his eyes. I took the cross from my pocket. Put it around his neck where it belonged. I'm sorry, I whispered. The enemy fighters were regrouping. I could see them. At least 12. Maybe 15. I had 10 bullets. I did the maths. Even if every shot was a kill shot, which it wouldn't be, I'd still be outnumbered. I checked myself for wounds. That's when I felt the wet warmth on my left side. I lifted my vest. Shrapnel. 3 pieces of metal embedded in my ribs. Blood was seeping through my uniform. Not gushing, but steady. I was hit. When did that happen? The RPG. Must have been the RPG. Adrenaline had masked the pain. But now I felt it. Sharp. Burning. Every breath sent fire through my side. I pressed my hand against the wounds. Tried to stop the bleeding. It didn't work. I could feel blood running down my leg, pooling in my boot. The fighters started advancing. Slow. Cautious. They learned we could shoot. I raised my rifle. Sighted the lead fighter. My hands were shaking. Shock was setting in. I squeezed the trigger. Click. Empty. I lost count. No more rounds. I dropped the rifle. Drew Martinez's Beretta from where it had fallen. 15 rounds. The fighters were 50 meters away. 40. 30. I could see their faces now. Young. Dirty. Determined. They were talking to each other. Smiling. They thought they'd won. They had won. 20 meters. I raised the pistol. My vision was blurring. Blood loss. I blinked hard. Tried to focus. 15 meters. I could smell them now. Sweat. Gunpowder. Smoke. The air tasted like copper. Like blood. 10 meters. The lead fighter raised his rifle. Pointed it at my chest. I looked into his eyes. Dark. Cold. He said something in Pashto. I didn't understand the words. But I understood the meaning. Goodbye. Time slowed down. I could see his finger tightening on the trigger. I could hear my own heartbeat. Slow. Weak. Fading. This is it. This is the end. I thought about my grandmother. About the funeral she'd have to plan. About standing in a cemetery alone, burying another person she loved. I thought about Martinez. About the cross I'd given back to him. About what he'd said. I pray before every mission. Just in case he's listening. And for the first time in 16 years, I closed my eyes. And I prayed. Phase 2, the confrontation. God. That's all I said at first. Just that one word. God, if you're real. My voice cracked. If you're really out there. I could hear the fighters getting closer. Their boots crunching on sand and debris. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I stopped believing. I'm sorry I mocked the people who prayed. I'm sorry I blamed you for taking my parents. Tears were running down my face, mixing with the blood and dirt. Please. I don't want to die. Not here. Not like this. I thought about Johnson. About Williams. About Davis and Chen. About Martinez. So many good men are already gone. Men who believed in you. Men who prayed. Men who deserved to live more than me. My hands were shaking violently now. The pistol felt impossibly heavy. But I'm asking anyway. I'm begging. Please. Save me. I opened my eyes. The fighters were 5 meters away. Spreading out. Surrounding my position. 12 of them. All armed. All aiming at me. I was going to die. Prayer or no prayer, I was going to die. If you are still here watching this video, type good, comment, like, share, and subscribe, and I will pick a winner for video. I will give shout out and pray for God for this person who commented. The lead fighter shouted something. The others responded. They were counting down. Getting ready to fire. I kept praying. If this is it, then okay. But please let it be quick. And please tell my grandmother I love her. Tell Martinez I'm sorry. Tell my parents. That's when I heard it. A sound. Distant at first. Then louder. Wump 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 wump. Helicopter rotors. The fighters heard it too. They looked up. Confused. The sound was getting closer. Louder. Then I saw it. Coming over the ridge. An Apache attack helicopter. But that wasn't possible. Command said 45 minutes. It had only been 20. The Apache opened fire. The 30 chain gun lit up the desert. Rounds tore through the fighters. I watched them fall. 1, 2, 5, 8. The survivors scattered. Running. Screaming. The Apache circled. Hunting them down. Eliminating them one by one. In 30 seconds it was over. Every single enemy fighter was dead. The Apache landed 50 meters from my position. The side door opened. Two men jumped out. Combat medics. They ran toward me. Survivor. We have a survivor. They reached me. Started cutting away my vest. Examining my wounds. How bad, one of them asked. Shrapnel. 3 pieces. Significant blood loss. Can he move? We need to stabilize first. They worked fast. Packing the wounds. Starting an IV. Wrapping pressure bandages. I grabbed one of them by the arm. How? My voice was barely a whisper. How are you here? He looked confused. You called for air support. They said 45 minutes. I don't know what you're talking about, he said. We got a radio call 15 minutes ago. Emergency frequency. Someone screaming for immediate evac. Gave us these exact coordinates. I stared at him. That's impossible. Our radio was destroyed. I didn't call anyone. The medic looked at his partner. Must have been someone else. There is no one else, I said. My entire squad is dead. But that wasn't the worst part. They loaded me onto the helicopter. As we lifted off, I looked down at the compound. At the bodies scattered across the sand. At the burning wreckage. At the stone structure where I'd made my last stand. I could see Martinez's body. Still lying where I'd left him. Johnson. Jen. Davis. Williams. 5 men. 5 brothers. All dead. I was the only survivor. The guilt hit me like a physical force. My chest tightened. I couldn't breathe. Why me? Why was I the one who lived? Johnson had a wife. 2 kids. Williams was supposed to get married in 3 months. Davis was saving money to buy his parents a house. Chen was going to college on the GI Bill. Martinez believed in God. He prayed. He was good. And he was dead. But I was alive. I didn't pray. I didn't believe. I didn't deserve it. The medic saw me crying. Hey, you're okay. You're safe now. I'm not okay. My whole body started shaking. Not from cold. From shock. From grief. From the crushing weight of survivors' guilt. They're all dead, I said. Every single one of them. I know. I'm sorry. It should have been me. Don't say that. It's true. They had families. They had futures. I have nothing. The medic put his hand on my shoulder. You're alive for a reason. What reason? What possible reason could there be? He didn't have an answer. We flew in silence. I stared at the ceiling of the helicopter, watching it blur through my tears. I thought about the prayer. About begging God to save me. And he had. Somehow. Impossibly. He had. But it would cost. 5 lives for one. That wasn't a miracle. That was a curse. I closed my eyes. Tried to shut out the images. Martinez's empty stare. Johnson's last words. Chen dancing on the strings of bullets. Williams disappearing in fire. Davis bleeding out in the sand. I couldn't. The images kept coming. Faster. Clearer. I started screaming. Not words. Just sound. Raw. Primal. Animal. The medic tried to calm me. But I was gone. Lost in the horror. Drowning in guilt. Everything went numb. My body. My mind. My soul. I don't know how long I screamed. Could have been seconds. Could have been hours. Eventually I had nothing left. I just lay there. Empty. Hollow. Broken. That's when I heard it. A voice. Quiet. Gentle. Coming from somewhere inside the helicopter. You're going to be okay, son. I opened my eyes. Looked around. The 2 medics were focused on their equipment. The pilot and co-pilot were flying. No one was talking. You did everything you could. There it was again. I sat up as much as the straps would allow. Did you hear that? I asked the medic. Hear what? That voice. He looked concerned. Just try to stay calm. We're almost there. But I heard it again. Clearer this time. They're not gone, David. They're right here. I looked to my left. And I swear to God, I swear on everything, I saw them. Martinez, standing in the helicopter. He looked exactly like he had before the blast. No blood. No wounds. Just a hole. Martinez. He smiled. That same smile I'd seen 1,000 times. Hey brother. You're dead. I know. This isn't real. I'm hallucinating. Maybe. Or maybe you're finally seeing what's been there all along. Behind him the others appeared. Johnson. Jen. Davis. Williams. All of them. Looking at me. How I whispered. Johnson stepped forward. That prayer you said. It was heard. But you died. All of you died. We know, Chen said. But we're okay. We're at peace. Williams nodded. You don't need to carry this guilt, Sully. But I lived and you didn't. That's not fair. Life isn't fair, Davis said. You know that better than anyone. Then why? I was crying again. Why did I survive? Martinez knelt beside me. Because your mission isn't over yet. What mission? Living, he said simply. Telling our story. Helping others who feel the way you feel right now. I don't understand. Johnson put his hand on my shoulder. I could feel it. Warm. Real. Solid. You prayed for the first time in 16 years, he said. And God answered. Not because you deserved it. Not because we didn't. But because he has a plan for you. What plan? You'll find out, Martinez said. But you have to live to discover it. He stood. Looked at the others. They all nodded. We have to go now, Martinez said. No. Don't leave. We're not leaving. We're always with you. All of us. He pointed to his chest. Right here. The helicopter started to descend. We were landing. I looked out the window. The base hospital was below us. When I looked back, they were gone. All of them. The medic was shaking me. Sir. Sir, can you hear me? Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you. You spaced out there for a minute. Stay with me. Did you see them? I asked. See who? My squad. They were just here. He exchanged a look with his partner. There's no one here but us. But I knew what I'd seen. I knew what I'd heard. And I knew it was real. They rushed me into surgery. The shrapnel had done more damage than the field medics realized. One piece had nicked my lung. Another had lodged near my kidney. The third was embedded in my ribs. I was in the OR for 6 hours. When I woke up, I was in the ICU. Tubes everywhere. Machines beeping. My grandmother was sitting beside my bed. She'd flown all the way from Arizona. When she saw my eyes open, she grabbed my hand. David. Oh, thank God. Thank God. Grandma. Don't try to talk. Just rest. But I had to talk. I had to tell her. I prayed, I whispered. She leaned closer. What? I prayed, Grandma. For the first time since I was a kid. I prayed. Tears filled her eyes. I know, baby. I know. How do you know? She squeezed my hand. Because I felt it. I was at home, it was 8:00 a.m. my time. I was making coffee. And suddenly, I felt this overwhelming need to pray for you. Like someone was screaming at me to drop everything and pray. My skin broke out in goosebumps. 8:00 a.m. Arizona time. That was 4:00 p.m. in Afghanistan. Exactly when I was pinned down. Exactly when I was praying. I got down on my knees right there in the kitchen, she continued. And I prayed harder than I've ever prayed in my life. I prayed for your protection. For angels to surround you. For God to send help. I was crying now. He did, Grandma. He sent an Apache. It came out of nowhere. Saved my life. I know he did, baby. I never doubted. A doctor came in an hour later. Dr. Sarah Michaels. Early 50s. Kind eyes. How are you feeling, Sergeant Sullivan? Like I got blown up. She smiled. That's accurate. Let me go over your injuries. She pulled up my chart. 3 pieces of shrapnel. 1 perforated your left lung. You had a hemothorax, blood in your chest cavity. We had to do emergency thoracic surgery. Will I be okay? You should make a full recovery. But I have to be honest with you. She paused. You should be dead. Those words again. The shrapnel that hit your lung missed your heart by less than a centimeter. If it had been a millimeter to the right, you would have died instantly. I thought about the prayer. About closing my eyes and begging God to save me. And there's something else, Dr. Michael said. The medevac team said something strange happened. What? They received a radio call on an emergency frequency. Someone calling for immediate air support at your coordinates. I know. They told me. The thing is, we reviewed the audio logs. We wanted to identify who made the call so we could commend them. My heart started beating faster. And there was no call. I stared at her. What do you mean? The frequency was empty. No transmission. No voice. Nothing. That's impossible. They heard it. The pilot told me he heard it. I know. Both pilots confirmed they heard a voice. Clear as day. Screaming for help. Giving exact coordinates. So what are you saying? Dr. Michaels looked uncomfortable. I'm saying there's no scientific explanation for what happened. The pilots heard something that wasn't there. They flew to a location based on information that didn't exist. And they found you exactly where the non-existent voice said you'd be. She paused. Some people might call that a miracle. My grandmother squeezed my hand. I call it God, she said quietly. Phase 3, the gift. 3 days later, the chaplain came to see me. Captain Robert Hayes. 60s. Gray hair. Weathered face. He'd been in the military for 40 years. Mind if I sit? He asked. Go ahead. He pulled up a chair. I heard about what happened out there. About your squad. I looked away. I'm sorry. I know it's not enough. Nothing I say will be enough. Then why are you here? Because I also heard about the prayer. I looked at him sharply. Who told you? Your grandmother. She thought I should know. Why? Because moments like that matter, David. When someone who doesn't believe cries out to God in their darkest hour, and God answers, that matters. 5 men died. I know. So how is that an answer? How is that a miracle? Chaplain Hayes was quiet for a long moment. Can I tell you something? He finally said. Sure. I've been to hundreds of memorials. Stood over hundreds of flag-draped coffins. Prayed with hundreds of families who lost sons, daughters, husbands, wives. He leaned forward. And the hardest question I always get is, why did my loved one die? Why didn't God save them? Exactly. Why? Because God doesn't stop bullets, David. He doesn't prevent wars. He doesn't make us invincible. Then what's the point? The point is that even in the valley of the shadow of death, even when everything is darkness and blood and horror, he's still there. Still listening. Still caring. But he let them die. No. Evil men with guns let them die. War let them die. God gave them peace. I thought about what I'd seen in the helicopter. Martinez and the others. They came to me, I said quietly. Who did? My squad. In the helicopter. I saw them. Talked to them. What did they say? That they were okay. That they were at peace. That I shouldn't carry the guilt. Chaplain Hayes smiled. Then maybe that's your answer. What do you mean? You prayed for God to save you. And he did. But he also gave you something else. Proof that the men you lost aren't gone. That they're somewhere safe. Somewhere good. He stood. That's the gift, David. Not just your life. But the knowledge that death isn't the end. That the people we love are still out there. Still with us. He put his hand on my shoulder. What you do with that gift is up to you. After that night, everything changed. 6 weeks later, I was medically discharged from the army. My injuries were too severe for active duty. The lung damage made me unable to pass the physical fitness requirements. I flew home to Tucson on September 12, 2019. My grandmother picked me up from the airport. We didn't talk much on the drive home. What was there to say? She'd prepared my old room for me. The same room I'd slept in as a kid after my parents died. The same room where I'd stopped believing in God. Now I was back. But everything was different. I spent the first week barely leaving my bed. I'd sleep for 2 hours, wake up screaming from nightmares, stare at the ceiling until exhaustion dragged me back under. The images wouldn't stop. Martinez's face. Johnson's blood. The sound of the RPG. The smell of burning flesh. I started drinking. Heavily. Vodka mostly. Whatever would make the images stop. My grandmother found me passed out on the bathroom floor on the 8th day. She didn't yell. Didn't lecture. She just sat on the floor next to me and held my hand. "You can't run from this, David," she said quietly. "Watch me. They wouldn't want this for you. They're dead. What they want doesn't matter. They came to you. In that helicopter. They told you to live. I am living. No. You're existing. There's a difference." She was right. I knew she was right. 2 weeks later, I went to my first VA support group. 10 veterans sitting in a circle in a church basement. Talking about their trauma. Their guilt. Their pain. I didn't want to be there. But I'd promised my grandmother I'd try. When it was my turn to speak, I almost walked out. But then I thought about Martinez. About what he'd said. "Your mission isn't over yet." So I talked. I told them everything. The ambush. The deaths. The prayer. The miracle. The vision in the helicopter. When I finished, the room was silent. Then a guy across from me spoke. "I saw my brother too," he said. "After he died in Fallujah. He came to me in a dream. Told me the same thing. That I had to keep living." Others nodded. Shared similar stories. Moments of impossible connection. Experiences that couldn't be explained. For the first time since the ambush, I didn't feel alone. I used to think strength meant never breaking. Now I know strength means breaking and choosing to rebuild. I used to think faith was for the weak. Now I know faith is the only thing that got me through the darkness. I used to think prayer was pointless. Now I pray every single day. Not because I think God will give me what I want, but because I know He's listening. And sometimes just being heard is enough. Martinez taught me that. So did Johnson, Chen, Davis, and Williams. They didn't die for nothing. They died doing what they believed in. Protecting each other. Fighting for something bigger than themselves. And in their deaths, they gave me the greatest gift. They showed me that life is precious. That every moment matters. That every breath is a miracle. You don't have to believe in God. I didn't for 16 years. But I'm telling you, there's something out there. Something bigger than us. Something that hears our cries in the darkness. Something that sends help when we need it most. Maybe you call it God. Maybe you call it the universe. Maybe you call it fate or coincidence or dumb luck. I don't care what you call it. I just know it's real. Because I felt it on June 8, 2019. I felt it when I closed my eyes and prayed for the first time in 16 years. I felt it when an Apache helicopter appeared 25 minutes early. I felt it when I saw my brothers one last time. And I feel it now every single day when I wake up and remember that I'm alive. Not by accident. Not by coincidence. By grace. I'm sitting in my grandmother's backyard right now. It's early morning. The sun's just coming up over the Catalina Mountains. I can hear birds singing. Feel the cool desert air on my skin. I make coffee every morning at 6:00 a.m. Then I sit out here for an hour. Just thinking. Praying. Remembering. I volunteer at the VA 3 days a week now. Helping other veterans work through their trauma. Sharing my story. Listening to theirs. Last month I spoke at a military memorial service. Told the families of fallen soldiers about what I saw in that helicopter. About how their loved ones were at peace. I saw hope return to their eyes. That's my mission now. Giving hope to people who have lost it. Reminding them that death isn't the end. That the people we love are still with us. Always. I still have nightmares. Probably always will. But they're getting less frequent. Less vivid. And when I wake up screaming, I don't reach for the bottle anymore. I reach for the Bible my grandmother gave me. I read until my hands stop shaking, until my heart rate slows, until I remember that I'm safe, that I'm loved, that I'm here for a reason. Every Sunday, I visit the memorial wall at the cemetery. 5 names are engraved there: Johnson, Martinez, Jen, Davis, Williams. I tell them about my week, about the people I've helped, about the lives their sacrifice has touched. Some people get a second chance. I got mine at 4:17 p.m. on June 8, 2019, when I closed my eyes and prayed. Have you ever prayed in your darkest moment? Have you ever felt like someone was watching over you, protecting you, even when you didn't deserve it? Type Amen in the comments if this story touched you. Share it with a veteran who might need to hear it. Share it with anyone carrying guilt they can't let go of. Next week, I'm going to tell you about what happened when I went back to Afghanistan, about what I found at that compound, and about the letter Martinez's mother gave me that changed everything. Thanks for listening to my story. And remember, you're never alone, even in your darkest hour. Even when you think no one's listening, someone is. And sometimes all you have to do is ask. God bless you. And God bless those who didn't make it home.